So in this video I have another pair of custom Mega Construx vehicles. We've got an Airfix 132 scale Triumph TR4 and a custom motorbike and sidecar. I've done these in a kind of style similar to the Buzzards from Mad Max Fury Road, and these are for my future Mad Max series at some point that I'm going to do once I've built enough vehicles and complete some of the other animations that I've done. I haven't really come up with my own name for this faction just about yet, but they are going to be heavily modelled after the Buzzards. The idea is they'll probably rely on makeshift weapons such as spears, crossbows, harpoon guns, saws, and flamethrowers and such, because it'll be such a low tier gang and just use the scavenging for everything they use. I do also plan to build a couple of figures to go with the vehicles in more keeping with the style, but I've only built these two as just an experiment because, like I did with the last one, I built a couple of 132 scale vehicles and some other custom vehicles just to see how easy it was going to be to build a whole fleet of Mega Construx custom vehicles because I've got this Mad Max series planned. So first off, we'll start with a bike. Initially I took a Mega Construx knockoff motorcycle. You can pick these up in a pack of 8 in 8 different colours. Here's what it originally looked like. I bought this off of eBay. I think they're about £10 for the 8 of them, so it's pretty cheap. Cheaper than the actual official kit of the Mega Construx bike, funny enough. Obviously I stripped it down to make it a bit more post-apocalyptic. Another thing is these knockoff versions of the Mega Construx bikes, you do get them in a pack of 8 and they're pretty cheap, but the wheels are solid plastic and the exhausts are made of a very brittle plastic and have a horrible tendency to break. Hence why I've switched this one out with a chrome leech orc exhaust. For the front spikes I used some Lego knives and some leftover tusks from the orc battle wagon that I built. The sidecar is completely scratch built, just out of some styrene tubing and styrene sheets. Although I did swipe the wheels from the Triumph for the sidecar, as well as reuse the backpack by just cutting off the tabs and using this 132 scale jerry can on the back. I've also built a bunch of custom Mega Construx scale like spears and such and put them on there. As for the second vehicle, as you can see, we've got the Triumph here. Initially this was just a cheap kit I bought off eBay and it had lots of parts missing, mostly just all the glass and one of the wheels, hence why I did a wheel swap. Now these wheels I swiped from, I think it was a 124 scale Tamiya Mazda Miata, which I also built a while back. Just because, you have some parts left over, you always put them in a bits box and you never know what you might reuse. It's always good to keep anything you build and you don't reuse. I mean, I've got lots of the bumpers and such of this Triumph, which I haven't used for this thing, but they're there in the parts box, ready for the next build. So I always try and keep anything you don't use in the one build, keep for the next, because you never know what you're going to use. So I raised the suspension and built like a somewhat custom suspension system. Not the best, but it looks close enough. As for the spikes, I reused a load of old sprues that I had and just glued them onto the body for the spikes. Initially I did plan to mount a custom harpoon gun that I built on this, but the car is just too small for that, and so in the end I just decided to make a crossbow for one of the people in the vehicle to use. Since I wasn't going to have the gunner sitting in the back with the harpoon gun on the roll cage, I decided to shoot a 132 scale Tamiya oil drum there for a fuel tank, and in typical video game fashion I've painted it red so the main hero is not to shoot it, because red barrel, shoot it, explode. Also they did that in the video game as well, in the Mad Max video game, so all the fuel tanks were in the back of the car painted red, so you shot it with a shotgun and the whole car exploded, which I thought was funny, but typical video game logic. So one of the things I did have a complete difficulty with this thing is the car is actually really small. Now like I said before, I built a few different Mega 132 scale vehicles to see if they could scale well, and I found if you are building them or if you want to customize them, try and stay away from small cars, because small cars obviously have less room in the inside, and this thing I had to completely cut everything up on the interior just to fit the figures in. Although I have put 2 seats in there, it really isn't possible to put 2 figures sitting side by side in this thing, because it's just so small, so you'll have to have one leaning out sort of thing, or one staying on the back on the roll cage. That roll cage piece is actually a roll bar from the Orc truck that I built also a while back. Again, save things that you don't use, reuse it in the next build. Sometimes you can find some cool stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it for these two builds. I've got another one that I've already built, which will be the next video. And then I should be moving on to other builds, or at least other things. As usual, there'll be some glamour shots at the end. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.